I'm gonna show you how to make Korean tteokbokki, and if you follow these simple steps, you're never gonna wanna order it from a restaurant again. Cheese tteokbokki, we gotta start by mixing the sauce. This is a gochujang, so we're gonna start by putting that inside of a bowl. Now we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. We're gonna start to mix these together, thinning out the gochujang that's been slightly warmed into the soy sauce. Now we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce. Again, repeating the same process, just mixing it so everything marries together nicely. Now we have 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar and 2 tablespoons of red Korean chili flake. We're gonna finish this off with about 2 teaspoons of, I'm using avocado oil, and get this all blended together. And this is going to be essentially all the flavor for our tteokbokki. Now let's talk fish cakes. I generally pick around them or pick them out. My wife, who's Korean, loves fish cake. So to please her, which is what matters, we are adding. I'm gonna cut these in half first and then into a triangle. So here we go. That's 4, so this is now 16 pieces. Now for the cabbage. Cutting this in half. I already peeled the outer layers, so everything here is usable, except for this core. So we're just gonna cut on a bias slightly. We're gonna cut into a few pieces, and then we're gonna cross-cut this in this sort of a fashion, repeating the same process. Now we're doing this into thirds again. So now we have a pot of water. Put your eggs inside. So now we're gonna set a 6-minute timer. From boiling, we'll make the inside, the yolk of the egg, nice and runny, but the white of the egg firm. All right, timer's going off. We're gonna remove these eggs into room temperature water. They've been in here for about 30 seconds or so. And we're gonna just let that shell kind of crack all along it. And then inside the water, we're gonna slowly start to peel, and you're gonna feel there's a skin between the shell and the egg itself. And once that skin is broken, it's very easy to peel. A lot of people too, when they do eggs, if they don't really know how to peel an egg properly, they'll cool it down in cold water. What's gonna happen is that the shell and the skin is gonna kind of reattach to the egg white, and it's gonna be more difficult to remove. So we're heating up a pan. Now we're gonna start making the tteokbokki itself. We have 2 cups or 1 pint of chicken stock here. You can just use water. I always like to use chicken stock in a recipe if I can. It just adds a lot more flavor. So now we have our chicken stock at a simmer, and we're gonna add the sauce that we had made earlier, all in there. Mix that together. Now this is really the flavor base of the entire dish. And since cabbage takes the longest to cook, we're gonna add that. And while this cabbage is getting soft, I have these rice cakes. This is 2 cups that I put inside room temperature water. So they're nicely thawed. We're just gonna remove the water. So rice cakes go inside. And you're gonna see, of course it's gonna thicken because we're gonna release some of the water, but also it's gonna thicken because of the starch from the rice cakes themselves. We're gonna start adding our fish cakes. All 16 pieces. Now those fish cakes will also absorb a little bit of that sauce. I'm gonna reduce the heat down to 275, 300. Let these cook for 4 to 5 more minutes. Now is an appropriate time to add our 2 cloves of garlic. And that is coming along. And what better thing to add than mozzarella cheese? A lot of Korean recipes, a lot of new trendy things have mozzarella cheese. Koreans might like mozzarella cheese as much, if not more, than the Italians. I just bought from the store a low moisture mozzarella. I just let it sit at room temperature for a few minutes, just so it would melt a little bit quicker. And we're just gonna spread this all around the pan. Do not be shy, this is about a half a pound of mozzarella. Now to finish melting this cheese, I can do one of 2 things. I can put the heat back on low, cover it for 2 to 3 minutes, or I can use a blowtorch, Most people don't have a blowtorch, so I would suggest you cover it. I am going to use the torch. We're just gonna top this with those eggs that we cooked from before. Set those kind of where you'd like them to go. And just some sesame seeds. And there we have Korean tteokbokki made in a traditional sort of fashion. So now here, final test, tteokbokki in the bowl, ready to go. Let's give it a shot. Very cheesy, lots of mozzarella. Wow. So, subscribe, you need to do that. It's not gonna get much better than that.